Hello friends, welcome to the Infologs YouTube channel. In today's video we will see how we can route the Blazor component in a web application. If we talk about the previous video tutorial, we have seen how we can integrate the routing section in our Blazor applications, or if you are using the Blazor server-side applications, what are the predefined configurations that is available in your applications. We have talked on that topic. So in today's video we'll see the actual routing in our project by implementing it. So for that I'm gonna hit the infologs.in website, and we'll talk about this article number 8, that is routing in Blazor. So I think you have a basic idea about the routings. So if you don't, so I'll quickly suggest you to watch our previous video, or so you can get a brief idea about the routing section. And if you don't know, so there is a in other words we can say the navigation. So how your application should be navigate to the requested URLs, or how you can provide the navigation to your application so user can easily navigate from component to component, or we can say the page to page, right? So yeah, let's start with this. So route is a URL pattern, and routing is a pattern matching process that monitors the requests and determines what to do with each request. Blazor provides a client-side routing as compared with an Angular router. It has some limited features. This routing.router class provides routing in Blazor. At the time of initialization, Blazor needs the assembly that contains the routing. Okay, this is we have already talked about this assembly kind of thing in our previous video. If you don't understand all this stuff, I'll recommend you to go ahead and watch our previous video of this Blazor video series, right? So here you can see the basic code for that. So under the router template we have we are saying that this is the assembly, that is the program.cs, or what our project is. And then internally Blazor routes finds all the classes that implements the iComponent interface in the specified in the above code. Okay, so next is a router component from multiple assemblies. That is what we have talked in our earlier video. So let's assume that you are referencing your project, so you are referencing a component from other assembly in your current project. So in that case you have to tell the router component that this is the additional assembly for the this component, right? So now let's talk about the @page directory. This is the very basic thing for the routing perspective. There is only one way to define the routing in Blazor, that is using @page directive. In MVC applications we can define routing using the multiple ways, such as routing attributes and adding values to the router or table, etc. So each component in Blazor must specify a route template using @page directive. @page directive are internally converted into route attribute. So this is the internal thing. So it's okay if you forget these things, right? So this is the basic idea about this @page than your URL, so or your UI endpoints. So we can also provide a multiple endpoints for a single routable component. So just specify multiple @page directive and your routing name. That's it. That's very simple. Then we can also go ahead and use the routing parameters. So before that, let me create a new project and let's test all this multiple routing with our application. Sorry. Okay, and here I'm going to use the same project that is we are using in our Blazor application. So here I'll name it routing, and then don't need this HTTPS. Go ahead. Yeah, by default you can see let's talk about the counter Blazor. Okay, this is our component, and here you'll see the @page /counter. Okay, so as soon as user go ahead and use /counter, the application will automatically load the right, as soon as user hits the slash counter component, it automatically matches with this counter and then loads this current component. Let's add one more routable name for this. So I'll go ahead and use at page directive, and I'll name the my counter. That's fine. Okay, let's hit the F5 and let's try to navigate to slash my counter. So what happened? Slash my counter slash my C1ter. Okay, let me check with it should work. Let me clear this project. Run this. So here you can see the counter. That's fine. And I'll go ahead and use my counter. Problem, man. Okay. Okay. So here you can see. Let me stop this project and go ahead to the shared navigation menu and let me create one more thing, but that is not required, that my counter, and that is my counter. Okay, run this application. Oops, oh, my mistake. Okay, so we are reverting all the stuff because we are executing this show loader project. We should execute this routing project. So currently we don't have anything in new menu, there is no change, and under the counter we have multiple counters. Okay, so just hit F5. Now we are running the correct project, so it should navigate to my counter route. So yeah, project is loaded. Let me access my counter. That's nice. And again I will click on counter. That again rendering the same component. Okay, this is the very basic thing. Now let's talk about the route parameters. Okay, the router uses the route parameters to populate the corresponding component parameters with the same name, case insensitive. That is important. So let's assume that I wanted to get a specific data from the user. So what I'll do, I'll just use a text parameter, and this is a dynamic. Okay, and whatever the input is, so I have to map it with this property. So I'll create a public property, and that will be the name of component. So as this is the public and this is the parameter, so I have to state that this is the parameter property. So I have to use this attribute to explicitly state that. Right now here you can see the whatever is the text will be mapped to the so we have to use a text case insensitive. So if you wanted to use a name, then you have to use a name property. That's as simple, right? And now okay, so how do we get to know that? Okay, so what I'll do, I'll create one more and we'll say component name, and that will be the text property. Okay, so as soon as the user hits the enter to this URL, the text will automatically bind to this add text, because we are saying this is the parameter, right? Now hit the F5 and let's test it. I'm sure it's gonna work. That's nice. Page is loaded, and my counter, now there is no URL is matching with this URL because we have changed to /text. So I have to go back and press this is Abhishek. Perfect. The component is text and the text is Abhishek, and Abhishek is printed over here. That's nice. Okay, so there are few restrictions in this. Okay, so basically what are the restrictions? Let me talk about. So here I need, okay, I create one more at page directive, and we'll take a counter, and then we get a ID, right? And for that I'll go ahead and use a parameter, then property integer ID, right? Okay, the both routes are similar, so I'll just oops, sorry, not this way. We have to write this kind of stuff. Yeah, I remember everything. Okay, so now what I did, so again I don't need this add text property, I need add ID property, and in the name I'll use the component ID, and now try to hit the and as this don't need this, so I'll just comment it and then hit F5. So now what we are trying to do is we are trying to read the ID property. So but as soon as I try to pass the counter, what is that, my counter? Yeah, it's a counter, and then I'll try to pass 10, I should get an error. Yeah, okay, if you watch this error, that is very simple. This is a casting kind of exception, unable to cast object of type system.string to system.int32, and this is also giving you the detailed descriptions like unable to set the property ID. That means whenever we try to assign the value, the framework is trying to assign the value to this ID property, at the time the casting error is occurred. That means whatever is coming from this is treated as string. That's why we are getting this message, right? So now what we wanted to do, we wanted to tell our framework that there will be an integer value. So what I'll do, I'll say, hey, in this parameter you will find the integer value. So what you have to do is just put the colon int or the data type, and then try to access the component. Now it's working fine, right? Let's back to the article. There you'll see in the restrictions or constraints kind of thing, so you have to mention the data type, so it will automatically cast that and assign it back to the properties without any error. So here you'll see the different kind of invariants, culture matching, so you can just try to implement this. Now coming to the next point, that is navigation link. So use a nav link. Okay, so where is the nav link you find? So you'll find that in under the shared folder and nav menu. Okay, so here you'll see the navigation link that is similar to the anchor tag. Okay, hyperlink element anchor. When creating a navigation link, a nav link component behaves like an A element, anchor element, except it toggles an active CSS class based on whether its href matches the current URL. The active class helps a user understand which page is active page among the navigation links displayed. Okay, this is the very similar. Here you will see the important kind of thing, that is match, right? So if I hit the F5, by default here you will see the home is selected, right? Because here in code we are saying if the link navigation matches all, then we need to go for the home as an active class, right? So here you can see the active class is here. Yeah, this is the navigation menu CSS, collapse CSS to collapse, and null. This is for bootstrap kind of thing. Let's this one. So this is the hidden kind of thing or not, right? And by default here you can see here you can see match all, and then the CSS navigation menu CSS class. So here you have to find this class. So what I'll do, just stop this application and go for F12. Yep, this is the class, collapse and all that. And let me check for one more CSS. Okay, for that I have to go for the CSS site.css. Okay, this is a sidebar. Okay, so okay, navigation menu. Okay, so if you go ahead and this match navigation this, so here what we are saying that, let me run this project one more time so you'll get an idea about it, how this is working by default, so we don't need to put any kind of code. So here for the home link we are saying if the whole URL matches, then we are considering this home is active, and if not, then we are considering that counter is matching. So how do we how this framework automatically understands it? So the answer is the match navigation all and the match navigation prefix. So this is the matching point. So if you go ahead just below this, so here you will see the navigation link is active when it matches the entire current URL, and by default, that is prefix, the navigation link is active when it matches any prefix of the current URL, right? So what is the current URL? So here you can see the current URL is let me go back to the code. Here you will see the href is counter, and prefix, what will be the prefix of this counter? So the prefix will be this much code. Oops, this much is a prefix. So if that is matches, then the framework automatically consider that the counter is active. And for the same, if we are hitting the fetch data, so for fetch data by default, so if there is not mentioned any kind of thing, then this. Okay, let's assume that if someone mistakes and adds a match is equal to navlink match dot all, what happened? So it will consider both link as an active or what? Again, it still considers the match. Okay, let me go ahead and okay. So I think there will be a default loading kind of thing. So app.blazor route data, that is program and main layout. Okay, so we go ahead and use the main layout. So here we are seeing the navigation menu. Okay, and under the index, okay, this is the by default, that's why it's hitting the default URL. And, okay, do one thing, we'll remove the home kind of thing link, so no one is hitting the link till now. Okay, so let's assume what happened. Okay, the basic component is loaded, and again home is loaded. Now I'll click on counter. So again, this both are active, right? So by default it is taking the match. If someone is assigning multiple match all, then it is, as soon as anyone hits the URL, so it will automatically put this as active and the other also active, because the URL is matching with the whole part, right? So by default we need to put a prefix, and now it should work properly. By default home is active, and as soon as we hit the counter should get active. Okay, this is the very basic thing. We can manage it by writing this navigation link code, or you can also go ahead and write your own CSS kind of stuff here. So yeah, now go back to the article. That's nice. Okay, this is the descriptions. If the preceding example of the home navigation blanks matches the home URL and only receives the active CSS class at the app's default base path URL this. Okay, and the second navigation link receives the active class when the user visits any URL my component, or in our case that is the counter prefix, right? So it will automatically consider that counter as an active. So now URI and navigation state helpers. So this is very simple. So navigation manager, there is a new section called navigation manager, navigation manager dot URI. So it returns the current absolute URI. So let me give an example for that. So I'll go ahead and under the counter Blazor, and on the button I'll use the navigation manager dot, sorry, before using we need to inject that. Okay, we'll talk about how we can injecting all that stuff in our next video. So currently I'm just using it. Okay, just hit the breakpoint, run this application, go to the counter URL and click on click me. So it should go here, press F10 or click on this icon. Okay, so now as soon as you hover your mouse on that variable, you'll see the base URL is this and the full URL is /counter. Okay, as this way you can collect all the other information of the navigation manager. Like if you want to go for the navigation 2, that means navigation, like just like if you talk about the traditional ASP.NET, then response.redirect kind of thing. Okay, but what you have to keep in mind here, navigates to the specified URL, that is forced by default is true, client side routing is bypassed. So now we are navigating on the server side. Okay, the browser is forced to load new page from the server, whether or not the URL is normally handled by the client side router or not. Okay, the location changed, it will provide you a true or false. The absolute URL converts the relative URL into a absolute URL, and the base relative path. Okay, these are the basic properties we can access, properties and methods you can access from the navigation manager object. Now the following component navigates to the app's counter component when the button is selected. Okay, so now I wanted to make the redirection on the button click. So let me go ahead and stop this application. I'll remove this breakpoint. Now from navigation link, okay, so on the home page I'll go ahead and add a button. So here's our button, add on click. I want it to redirect to counter. Okay, open counter component. Okay, now we have to write a code for public void redirect to counter, and then also we need to inject a service by using the @inject directive, then navigation manager, then nav manager. Now using this navigation manager, we are saying navigate to, and what is the force load is false by default, and then we have to pass the counter, right? As simple as that. Now we'll see what is the difference of navigation through button click or writing this kind of code. Okay, I'll again open up the inspect, and I'll go to the navigation menu. Okay, so now I'll hit the counter. Okay, working fine. Again I'll go back and I'll hit the counter. Okay, currently there is no differences because we don't catch any operation on the server side. Now what I'll do, I'll make it force true. Okay, so navigates to the specified. Okay, if true, bypasses the client side routing and force the browser to load the new page from the server, whether or not the URL would normally be handled by the server router. Okay, that is a similar kind of thing for the description kind of thing. Okay, so here our application is loaded. Now we'll go back to the inspect network. Now I'll go ahead and see. Currently our application is loaded, so we are not making any stuff out here, right? Now I'm gonna click on the counter component. See, did you see the reflection? Earlier it was just navigating on the client side, but as soon as I clicked, as soon as I stated that I wanted to forcefully load the application, in that case the whole application is loaded one more time. Okay, so again see, now I'll just all clean everything and I'll try to navigate from this. Okay, so currently it is navigating at a client side, and now as soon as I hit on the button, it is reloading the whole application. Okay, the whole application, again it is communicating the signal R, establishing a connection with the signal R. Okay, and if you go here, yeah, so this is all about the navigation too. And now let's back to the article. Yeah, so we have covered most of the things related to the navigation or routing kind of thing, right? I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. In our next video, what we are going to talk about, yeah, the very important kind of thing, that is managing the navigation programmatically, and we'll also talk about how we can create the component using a pure C#. Currently what we are doing, we are using a HTML and Razor kind of thing under the .razor file, right? So now in our next, we are going to create a dynamic kind of component by just using a C# code. So that will be the most important video in this whole series. And let me give you a basic idea about what we are seen till date. So we have seen the introductions, then we have seen the important one is life cycle of Blazor component, and then we have also talked about the routing, kind of how routing integrated to our, and then important one, we have also created the ToDo application in our Blazor web application. So in the end, you will see the 4 different parts. One for the subscription of this channel for free, we don't need any money from you guys, right? And the second is the playlist of Blazor tutorial, and at the bottom you'll see 2 videos, that is previous and next video. Okay, till then, keep learning, keep exploring the programming languages. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.